Hey everyone and welcome. Today we are diving into something pretty huge happening in Japan. It's a bold new plan centered around what's called physical AI. We're talking about creating intelligent robots for the real world. But as you'll see, the biggest hurdle isn't just the tech, it's the business model that makes it all work. All right, let's get into it.
So, how do you kickstart a whole new era of technology? Well, you start with money, a lot of money. The Japanese government is pumping a massive 20.5 billion yen into this project. This is way more than just a research grant. This is a full-blown national push to build the future of robotics. But what exactly are they trying to build?
That brings us to physical AI. Now, if you're thinking about the AI that writes your emails or makes cool pictures, this is completely different. Physical AI doesn't generate text, it generates physical actions. It's the brain that lets a robot actually see, understand, and, do things in the physical world. Okay, so where's all this cash actually going? Well, this investment is fueling a brand new national project. It's being led by Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, and NATO, which is one of their big national R&D agencies.
And the main goal here is, it's incredibly ambitious. They want to build a single, foundational AI model. Think of it like a universal brain that can be adapted for all kinds of robots across tons of different industries, from manufacturing and logistics all the way to construction sites.
But this is where we hit the real snag, the central problem of this whole thing. Look, the technology is obviously complex, but the biggest wall they're up against isn't the code, it's the business strategy. And this quote from Professor Tetsuya Ogata really just hits the nail on the head. He's one of the key people on this project, and he says, the hardest part isn't just building a smart AI, it's creating a business model that feeds itself. A loop where robots do tasks, generate new data from those tasks, and that data then makes the AI even smarter. Building that continuous cycle, that's the real challenge.
So that begs a bigger question, right? It's not enough to just invent the AI. You have to build the entire ecosystem for it to live in, to grow in. What does an environment that constantly feeds and improves this physical AI even look like?
And to really get Japan's strategy here, you have to look at the competition. They're not doing this in a vacuum. The US and China are in this game too, but their playbook looks totally different.
Just look at this contrast. It's fascinating. In the US and China, you have massive amounts of private money. We're talking tens of billions of yen being poured into startups building humanoid robots, creating these huge unicorn companies. But Japan, with its smaller government-funded budget, it's taking a different approach. They're not focused on a specific type of robot body. They're focused on building an open, foundational AI brain, and it's being led by academics.
And this really reflects what a lot of Japanese researchers are thinking. They know that just trying to outspend the competition, that's a game they probably can't win. They need a completely different strategy.
And that's exactly what this is. This is Japan's unique, open strategy. Instead of going head-to-head with brute force, they're playing a different game, one that leans into their own strengths, like research and collaboration.
The plan itself breaks down into 3 pretty logical steps. First, and this is absolutely the most important part, they have to set up a system for collecting really high-quality data. That's how they're tackling that business model problem head-on. Second, they use all that data to build the core AI. And finally, they take that core AI and adapt it for use out in the real world.
And there are some really smart advantages to this academia-led open approach. It pools all the country's expertise together, keeps the whole process transparent, and maybe most importantly, it lets lots of different companies test out the technology without each one having to reinvent the wheel. It's much more efficient.
But look, even with a really clever strategy, this is not going to be a walk in the park. There are still some pretty serious technical and hardware hurdles they have to get over.
And this comparison right here really makes the stakes crystal clear. If a language AI makes a mistake, you get a weird sentence. Big deal. But if a physical AI controlling a robot messes up, that could be actually physically dangerous. And that raises a huge question. Who's responsible for making sure it's safe? Who's on the hook for quality control? And that safety problem is just the beginning. You've also got the insane difficulty of quality assurance. You have to restrict a robot's movements just to be safe. And then there are the physical limits of the robot hardware itself. Plus, there's this constant dilemma. Do you want a robot that's a jack of all trades, or do you give it a specialized tool that makes it great at one thing, but limits everything else it can do? So with all those challenges, where do you even start? Well, one really promising field is construction. See, construction sites are a much more controlled environment. The tasks are more defined, and some of the systems for collecting data are already there, which makes it a pretty ideal place to test all this out.
So, here's the bottom line. Japan has a solid plan, a really unique strategy, and they seem to have a clear view of the challenges ahead. But it all really boils down to one fundamental question about the future.
And this is it. This is the 20.5 billion yen question. This system where data springs forth, who is going to build it? You can have the best tech, the best researchers, all the funding in the world, but who actually builds that self-sustaining loop that generates the data? Is it the government? Private companies? Some kind of collaboration? Whoever figures that out will be the one to unlock the true potential of physical AI, not just in Japan, but for everyone.